Can we talk about real issues? Let me tell you about the coming blackout. Right now, in the last few days, there is a group of lawmakers in the Mid-Atlantic and Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Virginia. They're all sounding the alarm. And they're sounding the alarm because they believe, and I do too, that the worst power bill crisis in a generation is happening right now. Skyrocketing bills and strained grids. How is it this is happening? We've drilled, baby, drilled. We've put new power plants online, or old power plants we've brought back online. Well, they're saying that part of the problem is all this new green energy crap. And everybody is still saying, we got to have green energy, got to have green energy. I just want you to hear me out here for a second, because I'm going to give you the reality of what's going on. Green energy is wonderful, I guess, but it is absolutely a thing that will set us back 100 years plus, okay? Green energy does not work for the America of 2000. It certainly doesn't work today. Every single month, a new server farm is breaking ground somewhere in America. Once a month. That means 12 new server farms this year. That is going to snowball. By the end of 2026, you will be seeing them built and breaking ground, maybe one a week. What we have so far, now, not building things small here. Each one of these data centers, which is feeding artificial intelligence, crypto, cloud computing, they consume as much power as 50 homes all the time. Told you at the beginning of the hour, Bill Gates has just come out and said, you know what? Global warming is not as bad as we thought it was. It's so laughable because it is so transparent. He's so evil. It's not as bad as everybody thought it was. We got to get off this global warming bandwagon. We got to do some things, but we need power plants. I'll tell you that right now. Why? You know who Bill Gates' partner is? OpenAI. ChatGPT. Okay? That's his partner. So we know why he's off this bandwagon, because they're struggling right now to find enough electricity for what they're currently running, let alone the next generation of systems. You have Google, Meta, Amazon that are buying up land in next to every major substation that they can find because they know what's coming. But wait a minute, they're building it near substations. Wait, hold on. Are you taking the power from my home? In many cases, yes. Listen to this. This is from the International Energy Agency. This is something they just released. Global data center power will double by the end of 2026. That is equivalent to adding another Japan to our energy demand. Okay? Another Japan. And that's just for computers and server farms. Adding Japan. What are we building to be able to serve that? Not enough. Ireland has just begun restricting the new data centers. Now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to restrict them, and it's going to leave you in the past. Now, maybe you want to be left in the past, and that's what that chalkboard is about. Maybe you want to be left in the past, but Ireland has just said, no more server farms, we can't do it. Parts of the Netherlands, Singapore, Sweden, they are freezing construction now on all server farms because their grids can't handle the demand already. Tokyo's grid is so strained by the server farms that they have. Blackouts have already occurred in Tokyo during peak hours. China, which is building a new coal-fired plant, every week is rationing power to factories so they can keep the AI data hubs running. So what happens when we shut down coal and stall nuclear and depend on sunshine and windmills? What happens? Who's powering the cloud? PJM, this is Mid-Atlantic Grid. PJM is one that runs it. They're one of the largest in the world. They say their grid in the Mid-Atlantic is already at the breaking point. They have warned, quote, of critically tight capacity, meaning one bad storm, one bad heat wave, one bad cold spell, and you've got rolling blackouts. Okay? Why? Because the last administration retired reliable fossil fuel plants faster than we could replace them. We didn't replace them. So we're already behind the 8 ball. And now the surge and the search for power is on. In Maryland alone, energy production has dropped as consumption has surged. Why? Because of the data centers. Virginia's data center corridor, which is, the economic crown jewel of Virginia, this giant data center corridor that happens in Virginia. It now consumes, today, you're still figuring out what AI does, okay? It now consumes 1/5 of Virginia's total energy output. 1/5 today. Why is your electricity price going up? Why have eggs gone down? They're back to over $1 a dozen. Why has gas gone down? It's now back to the price it was in 18 or 19. Why are these prices going down, yet your energy costs are skyrocketing? ChatGPT, AI, all the things that Amazon just fired 30,000 people because they're going to replace them with electric robots and machines and AI. That takes power. Imagine, what happens to your price of housing when you import 10 million people? The price of housing goes through the roof and nobody can afford a house. What happens to electricity when all those people are not powered on food or, have to live in a house, but just need electricity? When you have all that electricity demand for these AI systems and bots, of course the price is going to go through the roof, especially if we are at the same time that the demand is going up. We're saying limit the number of power plants. Let's go all green. If you want green energy, and you've known this, we've said this, it's degrowth. But listen to me carefully. I am not throwing you under the bus. If you want green energy, then you have to recognize, and maybe you're fine with this, probably are, no Bitcoin, no AI, and no modern digital economy. It doesn't exist. If you want AI and the server farms and the EVs and your self-driving car, digital infrastructure, you must start building power plants in your state right now. The problem is these two realities cannot coexist. So we're going to see a split in the country, okay? The climate cult, as they're calling it, it's going to run headlong into artificial intelligence. And when that happens, lights go out in your house. So what do? Let me give you two options. If you live in a state and you want to go net zero, you now have to demand right now that they stop approving new server farms in your state, because that is in direct conflict with your green agenda. You cannot live in a state that is building new server farms or is supplying power to server farms across the border to another state. You must pass laws right now, and I'm not for this, but I'm just giving you the option if you're for a green energy revolution. You must stop all server farms being built in your state, or they will bleed you dry. And you must also pass a law saying we are not selling our electricity over state lines for a server farm. Got to do it. Got to do it now. You cannot run a trillion parameter AI model on fairy dust or solar power or wind power. It doesn't happen. Now, if you believe in innovation, if you believe in the free market, if you believe in progress, if you believe in AI, you got to call your state reps right now and demand new, stable, high-output energy plants. The president is saying that all of these companies that are building these server farms must be responsible for their own power. They must build their own power plant. You don't get anything from the grid. But that's not happening. So you need to go to your state rep and say, they cannot take the grid power. They cannot take the power from the people. They have to create their own power And I would say, and in fact, if they want to do it in the state, they must put some excess power into the grid, because they're the ones that are going to be able to build the nuclear power plant, not your state. They will. Gas, nuclear, hydro, whatever it takes, you need to call your state and say, we want power, and we want the grids, and we want the server farms. But if you are apathetic on this, or if you are ignorant on this, and you don't begin to act now, you're going to be, at the whims of whoever it is that's running your state. California, we know which way you're going. But are you building server farms as well? Because if you are, Utah, you should pass a law. We are not going to sell any more power to California, because they will take your power to fund their server farms, not the people, their server farms. They will buy more power from you, which, if they're buying it from you, do you have enough for your server farms and your people in your state? Most likely, no. Unless you are doubling down on energy building right now. This is the near-term problem. Believe it or not, by the end of 2026, everybody will be very well aware of what energy is costing them and what server farms are doing to the stability of our grid. Unless people act right now. And, it's one thing to act at the federal level. This has to be at your local level. And quite honestly, I want the energy in Texas. I do not want to ship our energy someplace else for somebody else's server farm if they're not pulling their own weight on electricity. Because Texas is going to have server farms out the wazoo. We are building the power plants. We're not building them fast enough, but we are building them. And until we know our population, which is growing exponentially, our population can have the power they need to live, survive, and work. And the server farms that we are building, they have their power as well. There shouldn't be 1 kilowatt that is going across our border, especially to states who are green. But this one's going to be up to you.